And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? Letting the days go by, letting the water hold me down, letting the days go by, water flowing underground into the blue again after the
Hey, fun fans, it's another episode of We Enjoy. We are the Mattitude Eric. I am Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hey, everyone. Do I sound better to you?
I would hope so. I think we cracked the case here, Jeff
Yes.
Solomon, who was actively trying to help me make both of us sound better. I think I solved myself last week, but this week, for sure, we solved Eric sounding a little bit better. Little higher volume.
His
yeah.
greatest case was himself.
It's one of those movies where, the person's trying to find themselves. I was actually just going to list a bunch of movies with that twist, and then I realized I would ruin all those movies for people. I was going to say, and then I realized, but then, seriously, how many people out there are going to watch Angel Heart, Eric?
None, probably.
No one. That's not, I'm sorry, was that going to be your good thing to enjoy this week?
It was not. Oh, by the way, I forgot. When we get to it, we'll deal with it. I was like, we've only been doing this podcast a few weeks, and I'm already like, hey, have I already recommended this or not?
Wow. You love 1,000 movies, though. So what are the odds that you would have recommended it already?
Well, maybe I have a TV show, but I know I've been... See, the problem is I also do other things where I have been recommending things. So this thing I was going to recommend, I know I recommended recently, at least on SJU at Fandom, but I don't know if I've done it on the podcast, so we'll find out.
I could tell you the movies you recommended right now and waste time. I have, if you've noticed our Google document, I have a whole bullet point here that just says bullshit.
Have I recommended a TV show yet?
Yes, you did, but it was it was technically a miniseries, but it was a TV show.
Okay,
last week.
If it's just that one, I think that was 2 weeks ago. But either way. No, you're right. It was last week because we did 2 episodes last week. Time, it's all whatever.
Yeah.
We've been at home for a year as of this week. So
actually, being stuck in an apartment is part of my good thing to enjoy this week. Actually, it's not a movie at all. It's just called Being Stuck in an Apartment.
My thing to enjoy this week is life.
My thing to enjoy this week is Angel Heart. Oh no. So, hopefully Eric sounds a little clearer, a little louder, less distant. He was speaking through his built-in microphone and not his blue dabba-dee-dabba-da microphone, as the song that he was singing right as I called him on Skype. We all know that song. We all know that it's also the opening to Iron Man 3. But what was the name of the band who did that?
Eiffel 65, I want to say.
That's right. Why did I want to say Aqua? That's Barbie Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I get it.
Eiffel 65.
Euro.
That's fine. I'm Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die. You know what song I have stuck in my head right now? And it's not even a song. It's just something I tweeted an hour ago. So now I'm just singing in my head. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Zemo's in a mask now. Stucky Power. Good. Okay.
I retweeted you because I like that a lot.
Okay, that not only plays into next week, where Falcon and the Winter Soldier will debut on Disney+, but also a little bit of news this week that we'll get into. Kind of gaming news, kind of music news, but both things we enjoy that are smashing together head-on in a collision course of goodness. You can find Eric and myself on Twitter at the Matt Fowler and the Eric Goldman. The podcast is at We Enjoy Podcast on Twitter. And the email is weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. You can also message us on Twitter through Patreon if you're a Patreon subscriber, and that is patreon.com/weenjoypodcast. And for $2 a month, you can get a commercial-free version of this podcast. That's right. No commercials at all. And guess what I did this week? I went into Spreaker, where this podcast is hosted, and I looked at the little ad preferences, and I unlocked sexual ads, Eric. So now I don't know what aside from boner
your ears.
Well, now aside from boner pills, I don't know what that means. It's all boner pills, right? What else is it? It's not like a chat line or something. Those don't even exist anymore.
I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, if anyone gets a sexy ad, please let us know. I'm very curious. I did not unlock political ads, so even though it's probably safer now out of election season. Okay, so I think what we started last week, doing the news first, worked well, and then going to emails instead of starting with what the listeners wrote in about. Mm-hmm. And some of these are quick hits, and some of those we can dive a little deeper into, especially since, how much are we even going to talk about the Snyder Cut coming up next week, Eric? Are we gonna be in the weeds with that? Are we gonna ignore it? I don't know. It's not either of our cup of tea.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's still happening.
We could do an episode about it, which I mean, I think would probably be fairly critical of Zack Snyder's approach to the DC characters.
I know, but I would advise us against doing that, just because we would become magnets for a certain type of toxicity, even if we are as kind to it as possible. I haven't seen it. Maybe it's fucking amazing. It's not. It's not amazing. But I'm saying,
I did rewatch all the prior Snyder movies. Not all of his movies, but all the DC ones. They're not for me.
I listened to a lot of Fred Schneider songs in preparation for it.
Those are for me.
Yeah, those are for me. Remember when I peed next to Fred Schneider?
I don't.
And he started pissing on my shoe, and he went, "Tin roof rusted," and he just...
I don't, but I hope everything you just said is true.
No, I did. It was at the TCAs when B-52s played, and we were both in the Langham piss room, the bathroom. and he was at the urinal close to me.
The bathroom where you threw...
Is that where I ditched an entire sandwich? What was it?
Know. Where you threw your food. I don't know why it makes me laugh so much that you threw your dirty food into what you thought was a trash can.
Why was it dirty food? Jesus Christ. I think Eric just unlocked his own miso soup moment right now. What the fuck is happening?
I don't get into the bathroom so many times that it always makes me laugh. I don't know why. That there is that. It's a fancy bathroom at a fancy hotel, so they have cloth, nice linen, towelettes to dry your hands with instead of paper towel. That's for the peons. But Matt walked in and he had his leftover, the remnants of your lunch in a styrofoam thing, a thing you would throw into the trash, but you didn't realize it wasn't a trash can. It was a receptacle for the dirty.
Oh, it was a hamper.
It was a hamper.
Oh, I get it. Because right now I'm like, I guess it's inherently funny to throw a sandwich away in a bathroom, but why is Eric so into... Why can't I dispose of food in a receptacle? But I remember now, it was an actual linen hamper.
and that, you've been there for years at TCA, but I still chuckle about that when I go in there. I don't know. It just gets me.
All right. So speaking of how we won't probably be doing a Snyder Cut episode, just because it would expose it would expose our bellies too much and make us too vulnerable. But,
sure.
We did do a WandaVision recap episode. You may have noticed dropping into your feed that we did a bonus episode all about WandaVision, mostly focusing in on the finale and where the characters could go in the MCU from there, but also talking about the season overall. So make sure you catch up on that when you watch all of WandaVision. So if you have not, don't do that. Go watch Angel Heart, though, because I gave away the twist, so that's fine. So in the news, I wrote this down very quickly. I don't mean to follow every single step of the Borderlands movie. It's a video game franchise.
Yes, you do, Matt. You do.
No. I really wrote this down.
Nonsense here every week that I don't understand.
Tiny Tina? Yeah. Now you're like, Florian is Krieg. What the fuck is that?
You're just making things.
So the character, Vault Hunter character from Borderlands 2 named Krieg, he's a Psycho Bandit class. He was cast for the Borderlands movie, and Creed 2, not Krieg 2, Creed 2's Florian Munteanu, I'm not saying that right, and I don't care about it. He's a super buff dude. He played Drago's son in Creed 2, and he is playing Krieg. And also, just an MCU connection, he is playing Razor Fist in the Shang-Chi movie. So he's got that coming out as well this summer. But I bring that up because I kind of want to dunk on idiots or just complain about them again. Because of you get all the vast spectrum of casting news obtuseness when it comes to this Borderlands movie. Whether it's Kevin Hart is too short or Jamie Lee Curtis is too old for video game characters that don't exist. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. And so when IGN posted this news story on IGN's Facebook account, the first couple comments underneath were, man, the casting for this movie, I'm paraphrasing, the casting for this movie's been bullshit, but at least this guy looks like the character. Because he's a riff buff dude, you know?
Right.
So literally what we've been talking about is...
And I'm guessing white?
Yep. But also,
Right.
but also the fact that out of the cast so far, this is the least actor-y guy. He's an athlete whose first movie, I think, was Creed 2. You know what I mean? He probably came from athletic background, if not just a bodybuilding background.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like acclaimed people with deep IMDb like legacy logs versus this new guy who everyone approves of because he's got abs. You know what I mean? So it's literally, basically, I put this on there because it's literally what we're talking about. Everyone likes this casting because he can look like the guy. That's all they care about.
This is in the 90s when I would read Wizard magazine, which I loved, which was the comic book magazine, the magazine about comics, without, a lot of internet to give us comics info. But they would always do like, if we cast, or like who they should cast in all these movies that at that point were just imaginary because no one was making comic book movies at the time. And I always remember that they would do this. Like X-Men is the one I always remember because it was Iman, am I saying your name right? As Storm, the model.
Yeah.
Because she is beautiful and looked like regal. And Glenn Danzig is Wolverine.
And who cares if either of them could act for shit?
Act.
Yeah.
He cares, Look, they kind of look like them, so that's our choice.
Oh, it's so infuriating. Because, Eric, who's going to believe a Dogtown boy? Honestly. Sorry, that comes later. That comes later.
D-Town? A skateboarder?
No, that comes later for the RoboCop talk. Can I also interject into the news here how absolutely furious I am about this week's homework? I fucking hated spending 2/3 of a Snyder Cut watching these awful fucking RoboCop shows that honestly, if I hadn't gone over my notes, they totally blend together in my head because they're both...
Oh, really? Well, we'll get to it. I thought the second was discernibly better than the first. Not that it was great, but we'll get.
Oh, God, Eric. This was an awful journey, and
it was a tough one.
I feel very, very torn at this point about like the two stages of myself battling of like quality content for listeners, or even for those who choose to watch along with what our main event is, versus being a completionist. Like
Sure.
What wins out? Because next week I'm like, do we make the main event still the animated shows, or do we just talk about them briefly and the main event is something else?
I think we make it that because, especially, first of all, it's such a less thing to watch. I mean, it'll take under an hour to watch those two.
I know. I'm not talking about like our workload. I'm talking about just like as a main event that people are actually interested in at this point. With the RoboCop has been nothing but diminishing returns since the first movie. It never peaked. It never the needle never ticked up in the slightest ever since the first movie. And as we'll get to with the main event, everything works to prove that RoboCop isn't a sustainable story after that first movie. Like, he's just not a character that can... To the point where in 2, we talked about how long he vanished from that movie. The same thing happened in the TV show. The same thing happens in every RoboCop story, is that in order for a RoboCop story to work, RoboCop has to leave the story for like 40 minutes.
I'll be back, but I leave you in these capable hands.
Here's Gadget. Okay.
Here's Gadget.
So, okay. Back to the news. So, Florian Munteanu is Krieg, Eric, because he cares so much.
Great.
Equally ridiculous name, Benedict Cumberbatch has gone on record saying that he is not interested in the slightest in playing Grand Admiral Thrawn, live action version of that Star Wars character that was name dropped in The Mandalorian Season 2. People would know from the novels and from the animated version of himself, where he was voiced by, was it Mads Mikkelsen's brother, right? What's his name? Lars Mikkelsen.
Yep.
Okay, so Cumberbatch said, that's a straight no from me right now. There is no way I want to be turned blue. I turned the air blue very recently. No, seriously, I have precious time with my children, and I think sitting in a makeup chair and being painted blue and the amount of time it would take to do that and then take it off at the end of the day, it's not just the right time in my life for that. So he has gone on record saying he is not Thrawn, which means, Eric, if you go by Benedict Cumberbatch's track record, there's a 50-50 chance he's playing Thrawn.
I think it's probably unlikely he's playing Thrawn. Only also because of the fact that he is Doctor Strange. And while it's not like you can't do both Star Wars and Marvel at the same time, I don't see him doing that. It's funny. I was just mentioning someone how I keep getting press releases for movies with Benedict Cumberbatch. Like he does a lot of like these smaller movies, and he's got that one with Jodie Foster that he produced. And
yeah, but isn't that the rule? In order to do the smaller movies, you got to do the big Thrawns. Yeah,
but I'm saying, he's Doctor Strange. Like he's got it covered. And he's filming the big Doctor Strange.
Okay, well here's the thing. He lied about being Khan. He lied he lied about being Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
There is no logical reason to believe anything Benedict Cumberbatch ever says at a press junket.
You are correct. I do understand that track record, but I also don't think he's Thrawn. I think he's become like a big fan casting, and of course fan castings become real. But then sometimes people are just trying so hard to manifest them. I mean, to the point. I mean, like people said how funny it was that like there literally was like articles that were like fans upset that John Krasinski didn't appear as Reed Richards in WandaVision, which was never a thing that was ever promised to us. Not the character, not the actor. It is 100%. But look, you go back to Danny DeVito as the Penguin began as like a fan thing, and then it became real. So these things happen sometimes, but other times they don't.
I'm saying he's Thrawn. So there you go. And he is he's doing Thrawn so he can do The Courier, whatever that movie is he's promoting right now. The little ones. The little wee movies. Mm-hmm. You know who should play Thrawn, honestly? Glenn Danzig.
Yes, I'm in.
And then Iman should be, what is Thrawn's little creatures?
right, the Yasarli?
That's Iman. Is she alive still? Oh, no.
Yeah, no, she is, because Bowie was, they were married, and
I know, but he died, so shouldn't she have gone right afterwards?
No, that's not how it works, Matt. I forget I have to explain that to you.
No, but they were together, so she needs to go too.
No, that's not how it works.
All right. Going back to what I was singing earlier in the podcast, so this came as a very pleasant surprise. Not just the news that there is now a coming. Well, I'm not plugged into all game news, despite writing for IGN. It's not my world. But there is a game called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. I believe that's the name, and it's sort of inspired by, if not the sequel to, the side-scrolling brawler Ninja Turtle games from the arcade, like. 1991's like Ninja Turtles: Turtles in Time, or so it's very much in the vein of those old arcade games with better graphics, but still in that 16-bit style.
Yep.
And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme from the animated series, who you informed me, which I didn't know, was written by Chuck Lorre, and I didn't know if that was one of those like fake news things where it's like James Lipton wrote the Thundercats theme and he didn't. It's like he didn't. It just became a weird urban legend about James Lipton and Thundercats. But so this one is done and covered by an artist that Eric and I are huge fans of, Mike Patton.
Yes, indeed. Who is one of those people who is beloved, but also probably very under the radar for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's one of those. He has so many weird irons and different weird fires. Like, he's known as the man of 1,000 bands. He's the singer or voiced artist for a lot of bands, his most popular band being Faith No More. But he has a lot of other side projects and side bands, or he guests on people's songs and albums. Like, he was on a Bjork album just doing voice stuff. Or He was actually the voice of the Darkness in the Darkness video game. So all that demon noise, that was him. So he does gaming. He does a lot of stuff. He does movie scores. He did the score, a very great score, to Crank 2 High Voltage.
Yep.
Along with A Place Among the Pines, which was sort of an artsy small film where Ryan Gosling met Eva Mendes.
Yeah, it's funny because he works so much. He's so prolific. He has a million bands, but to the mainstream, they would really only know Faith No More, and wouldn't know Mr. Bungle, I guess, to some degree. But then he's got all these other bands that are really just very kind of cult bands.
He's got Fantomas and Tomahawk, and he had a solo-ish album called Peeping Tom. His new band is called Dead Cross, and it's just sort of like actually sort of hardcore metal. But then when I saw Dead Cross a few years ago here in the Dallas area, they covered Bauhaus's Bela Lugosi's Dead. So that was one of my first experiences of Mike Patton crisscrossing, cross-pollinating with something else I really love, which is Bauhaus. Right. And this is the second time, I think, where now he's doing the TMNT theme. And I think I'll actually play a little bit of that in the outro of this podcast so people can get a listen up to it. But you can also just Google it and listen to the trailer for the game where you can hear the whole song.
It was very fun to hear him do that. And yes, Chuck Lorre really did write that song. Chuck Lorre has early days were all writing 80s animation like Mask and Pole Position. But the Ninja Turtles theme song is kind of his biggest, obviously long-lasting claim to fame, sticking around. And then he, made billions and billions of dollars making hugely successful sitcoms.
In the Bazingaverse, yeah.
Yes. Mike Patton, who Matt and I have seen in concert many times together and separately, with mostly Faith No More, but certainly many of his other bands too. One of my coolest experiences seeing him is tragically part of my lost photos. I had a laptop years ago, pre having stuff on the cloud, a laptop die, and I have all my photos from 2006, 2007 were lost, including the photos from the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia season 2 premiere, which was an early thing I covered for IGN when no one cared about that show. Tiny, a small venue for the premiere. And because Danny DeVito loves Mike Patton so much, he performed there. And I was right up, again, it was a small little place. So I had great pictures of him. I have one picture. I still have Caitlin Olsen and Danny DeVito rocking out to him.
So the Always Sunny Mike Patton connection is interesting because he and Danny DeVito are super close friends. Yes. And it all came from literally Danny DeVito was at some music festival and heard some band.
Coachella.
Yeah, he was hearing a band play and he's like, "Who's that?" And it was actually Fantomas. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "What is this band?" And then he and Patton became fast friends to the point where 2 times now I've seen Faith No More. Once with you, Danny DeVito has been in the proximity of the stage. When we saw them once in LA. Danny DeVito you could see him standing off stage, but then during one song, he just sort of slowly wandered into the middle of the stage and just stood around.
Yeah.
But when I saw them play at Coachella, 2009, I can't remember the year, Danny DeVito streaked across the stage. Very, very much, very Frank Reynolds just running naked across the stage. But anyway, the Always Sunny, a few of I think Glenn Howerton and maybe another cast member of Always Sunny are also are Patton fans. So it's not they knew him through Danny DeVito; they were already Mike Patton fans. So that's why.
They got meta, and the Always Sunny episode that's kind of all from Frank's point of view and how he sees the world plays a couple different Faith No More songs when Frank's driving around. Yeah. It's that's Frank's music too.
So anyway, we love Mike Patton.
We were happy. We were happy to hear both Mike Patton.
Okay, more quick news. The cast to Mission Impossible 7 has expanded a bit. Previously, I think we only knew about extra additional people, Haley Atwell and Isai Morales. And anyone else extra we knew about besides Henry Czerny?
Trying to remember. I feel like there was at least one other person.
Did we know Shea Wiggum, or was he in this crop of news?
No, we knew about Shea Wiggum.
And we also knew about Palm Clementif from Guardians. Yes. Okay, so the newest members of the cast are Carrie Elwes, who everyone would know from the Saw franchise, and Princess Bride. And if you haven't listened to us recap the Saw franchise, you can go back to those episodes of We Enjoy Wrestling when we went through all the Saw movies. Mark Gatiss, who was on Game of Thrones, was also a writer for Sherlock? Doctor Who? I can't remember. What did Gatiss work on? Sherlock. He was on Sherlock too, so he must have written for that. Okay. Charles Parnell, Indira Varma, who was on Game of Thrones. She was like not the Sand Snakes, but she was the leader of the Sand Snakes.
She was their mom.
Yeah.
And she's had a couple of cool weeks because she was just announced to be in Obi-Wan. She'll be on that show. And now she's also going to be in the Mission Impossible
And
movies.
you were like, Cumberbatch can't be Thrawn and Doctor Strange, and look at her.
It's a little different. It's
All right. And Rob Delaney. So that's interesting since I just watched him in Tom and Jerry a few weeks ago. So I don't know that I've seen him do straight man. You know what I mean?
I have. But
have you seen him in a drama?
I don't know if I've seen him in a drama, but I know...
You know Deadpool 2 was not a drama, right?
I know... I might be thinking about... I know he's been, still, comic presence, but he was in Hobbs and Shaw, and, not being, overtly zany as much as just...
I know. I'm not saying he has to fucking fall on a banana peel, Eric. I'm just saying,
and he farts.
Just farty fall down, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so those are... we don't know who they're playing, but those people are in the movie now.
Mm-hmm.
And... other quick news, Avatar is getting a wide re-release in China.
Yep.
Coming up. And some people were a little mad about it because it'll take about a day for that movie to once again become the number one movie of all time. Because Endgame's edge on Avatar is only about $8 million. So Avatar just needs to make that much in a theater, and it will. So Endgame had a good short transitional champion run, but it's going back to the original champ. So
it will. And look, I fucking love Endgame, and Avatar. I admire it on a technical sense. I didn't connect with it emotionally, though I don't hate it. But it's just so silly to me when people were mad about this or this isn't fair. None of it's fair. And first of all, Endgame got that late in the game re-release anyway.
They did get re-released, yeah.
Yeah. And tickets sold, Avatar always it sold more. It's fine, guys. It's Disney wins no matter what. Disney would be psyched if people were so into this that they feel like they can keep re-releasing them, so they keep going back and forth, and you just help Disney. But also, yeah, it's just no matter what they were going to put, I thought Avatar was going to get a re-release before the sequel comes out because it just felt like, it's that kind of movie anyway.
Oh, it for sure would because nobody remembers that movie.
Right,
so.
And they want to put it back into the consciousness. So, but then last year when China was, because again, China was the first place to be stricken by coronavirus, her first place to shut down. Hence, they were the first ones to reopen. When they were going to get a bunch of big Hollywood movies, classic ones to play. This didn't end up happening because they had to kind of slow down their reopening. But Avatar had been approved last year. It didn't happen. Now it is. But yeah, pre-sales, I think I read yesterday, was already 5.5 million. It will very easily beat Endgame this weekend to be the number one movie again. And that's fine. And there's something to me that feels good about that in a weird way. Also because it was funny on Twitter, someone said to me when I was tweeting about this, someone said, oh yeah, that makes sense, but they said something about I wonder, it would have to be another Avengers movie or something to really pass it again. And I thought, God, that's the thing about Endgame even being the number one movie ever is that if you look at the movies that have always been the number one movie of all time, they were never sequels until Endgame.
Yeah, so the
Gone with the Wind, Jaws, Star Wars, Titanic, Avatar, they were all an event that came not out of nowhere sometimes because they were well promoted, but something that got people to go to the theaters that never go to the theater. That kind of seismic movie event. I mean, so Endgame being a 23 movies in the making, 22 movies in the making, it was different.
Back when it happened, that was what we were. I think we all marveled a little bit about Avatar back when Endgame beat it, just because it was its own movie.
Yeah,
and that Endgame only sort of made that much money because it was the first big end to a decade-long story that had been building up, like you said, through 23 movies, that culminated in this one giant crossover movie that everyone had been waiting for so long, whereas Avatar had none of that. It wasn't based on anything. It wasn't, it wasn't even from like a massively popular source material. It was just out of nowhere. And, you talk about lightning in a bottle. It was the 3D of it too, which was super big for about 3 or 4 years, around the time Avatar came out. So, and then in the wake of Avatar, everything had to be 3D
because
and
Avatar
retrofitted.
did it so well, and then everyone else just copied it, but usually badly.
I think I settled on the fact that the best 3D movies I had seen were How to Train Your Dragon and Tron Legacy, and then Avatar, of course. Everything there were other ones that were okay, but those were when I remember specifically sitting in the theater going, "Wow, this movie is better because of the 3D."
Yeah. I mean, it just even with the MCU, yes, there's going to be another movie called Avengers eventually, but I don't think they can ever replicate Endgame. Just again, they'll be wildly successful. I'm not worried about them. But just as far as that culmination, that thing that by the time Endgame opened, it had been going on so long that all these kids had grown up with it and it had this sort of connection to it. We knew that some of these actors were going to be done after this movie, so it just everything led to that. The only movie that had a chance of doing that, and similarly was massive, was Force Awakens, except that Star Wars was never a global success on the scale MCU is. So Force Awakens is the #1 movie ever in America. I can't remember if Endgame might have passed it, but it was when it opened, but not globally because Star Wars just didn't have that footprint, that so they couldn't do that. So it would shock me if I wouldn't be shocked if we never again after Endgame get a #1 movie of all time that is a sequel. I think it makes more sense that it's going to be these things that a year out people would never consider would become the biggest movie ever.
And as RoboCop has proven, the first movies are not always, but usually the best, and you can never recapture that again, no matter how you try through movie sequels or TV shows or animated series. I think that also, calling Endgame a sequel to is weird because it is a sequel to the MCU, but it's a sequel to everything that came before it. It's not like a direct sequel to, it is to Infinity War, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it's not like I'm saying it's not like Hellraiser 2. I'm saying.
By the way, it's funny. My first instinct was right. Force Awakens is still the biggest movie ever in America, which is crazy. It's 936 million versus Endgame's 858 million. So again, that's impressive in itself. But Avatar was just operating at a different level as far as being a visual event that people who didn't even go to the movies felt like they had to go see, that just connected with people on a certain level.
Speaking of the future of the MCU, good news for Disney Plus, which this past week reached 16 months after it launched 100 million subscribers.
Yep.
So that's pretty big. I think they're literally half of Netflix right now after 16 months only. So
it's very impressive. It's way beyond any of the predictions were. Both Disney was making publicly, which they're always going to underdo because they want to sound like, oh, we surpassed expectations, but no one was making the guess that they would get this big this quickly. Yes, you can it's impossible to not wonder how much COVID quote unquote helped them. Because everyone was stuck at home. So
but every that should have helped all the streamers.
Yeah. It's just that, but of course, you have to look at the fact that Netflix is already had been starting to plateau. So Netflix, by the way, I think they ended last year with 204 million. But for Disney Plus to already be at almost half, of what they have is incredibly impressive. Nobody else who's launched in the past couple of years has gotten close.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And I don't think ever will. I think it's, it's going to be Netflix and Disney Plus, and we'll see if 5 years from now, if they're even neck and neck. I feel like Netflix, just the inroad they have is kind of being everything for everyone, because their brand being we just have all kinds of stuff. They might stay #1, but I think Disney Plus will get very close to them as the years go on.
All right, let's get into some things that our listeners wrote in about, just very briefly. We don't have that, actually, I don't really have any emails this week. It's all Patreon and Twitter, so very quickly here. Then we'll get into our good things to enjoy. Do you have one? I forget. I didn't ask you.
Yes. After you told me that Devs was the only TV show I
Yes.
have done, yes.
And it's not Angel Heart, right? Because I already wrote
Not Angel Heart. It's Angel Heart the series, animated series.
Oh, wow. That would have worked well for kids, I think. Totally.
Yeah, good.
All the kids who wondered why Lisa Bonet was now no longer on... did that get her kicked off there? A Different World, right? She was only on for a season because of that movie.
God, was it like Cosby being
Yeah. Beacon
God.
of Virtue, Bill Cosby.
Jesus. Wow. Think about that.
I know, like getting her kicked off because of a very, interestingly risque sex scene in Angel Heart. All right. So Nikolai writes in on Twitter just to let us know, because I have not actually started watching the Punky Brewster revival yet. Mm-hmm. I do have Peacock now, because I officially canceled WWE Network, signed up for Peacock Premium, and now I'm just waiting for that WWE content to arrive in a week. Which we should mention, not all the content is coming at once. So there's a lot of archival stuff that will not be available. So people who use the WWE Network for that, heavily are pretty pissed off, when I don't blame them. But they can watch the Punky Brewster revival. So what are they complaining about? He writes in just to let us know that basically, in one of the episodes, Punky Brewster references Sherry's irrational fear of refrigerators.
To which I say, it's a rational fear.
Yeah, I know. What is irrational about that?
Died.
I think she did die, Eric. I don't think she almost died. I think she had to get pulled away from the light, specifically.
And it was better there, Punky.
Yeah, and you know who didn't help? Fucking Alan.
Nope.
God, I hate him. Okay, and JM writes in on Twitter, I am on the second RoboCop TV show now, and this is easily the worst homework assignment I've ever been given. See, I told you, Eric, we're going to lose people with this shit.
I'm not saying it was great, Matt.
I'm saying we're going to shed people. Jason writes in on Twitter. Jason,
to the end of the line, Matt. We're to the end of the line. By the way, tangent. Because I've been watching all the MCU movies this week. So I was thinking when I was watching Winter Soldier, which I freaking love, but they do that thing of like having like a saying that like can be like an important thing that, Steve can say at a key moment to break through to Bucky. And I was like, that's such a movie thing. Like, if Matt were brainwashed, what would I say to him? I wouldn't have anything. I'd go, I'd say plane an airlock.
You would. We have our own thing.
That's right.
And then I would go, and I would wake up.
And everything would be okay.
So Jason writes in, Jason who wrote in on Patreon last week, but he tweets basically complaining about the big event homework for the RoboCop TV series. But getting to listen to Matt and Eric make fun of it, that's worth it alone. So there you go. In the end, light at the end of the tunnel, not an oncoming train. It is us snarking on... I don't know how much I'm going to snark, Eric. I'm just going to be pissed off. I'm really angry about this. About these two TV shows.
What if I love them?
Eric, the guy's name is Dr. Crazy. What can you not like?
That's right. A gadget.
Gadget. They just call me Gadget. I'm a street kid. Jason also wrote in again on Patreon just to thank us and saying that, the pandemic year was very hard for him. He says he's in a better place now and wanted to say that this new podcast played a role in his self-actualization. So Jason loves movies. He also loves writing. So he said listening to us sort of inspired him, and he respects us and the fact that he grew up in his teenage years listening to us, Eric. I'm sure he didn't want to make us feel intentionally make us feel old, but you did, Jason. Guess what? I mean, also, we're old.
We mentioned the MCU now is old enough that people who were like 10 are in their 20s now.
No, for sure. And also, I think I did the weird math a few days ago about how, what was it? I think like it's almost like 40% of this country literally has only ever known The Simpsons on TV.
Right.
If you consider like how many millions of people are within the ages of like 33 and under in this country, like if you slice up the pie, it's like over 40% of this country has never lived in a world without The Simpsons. That's how long that show's been on. Yeah. Okay. that's the kind of math I do. What do you guys do?
This is math. Yeah. Which just got renewed for 2 more years.
So Jason also wrote, for this week, he's still doing the thing where he's doing the good thing to enjoy, but he said that his good thing to enjoy this week was us and our actual recap and review of WandaVision. So I'll plug that again for those. If you've watched WandaVision, please listen to, it's only an hour. A little shorter than usual, than our usual brand of podcasting. Just talking about Wanda and Vision together in WandaVision. All right, so who wants to go first with the good thing?
I will.
All right, go for it.
My thing was inspired by seeing it got renewed for a 3rd season today, while its debut date for season 2 in June was also announced simultaneously, which is Central Park on Apple TV Plus. I know I've mentioned in passing that Apple TV Plus has a lot of good things to enjoy. It is definitely doing a.
I mean, really, it's only disservice at this point is that it's another streaming service.
It's another streaming service, and it has no library content. That's their big
problem. That's hard.
That's the hard thing, right? That's like when you don't have like this. Disney Plus is like, look, we have all these old Disney movies and Marvel movies, and that's why they made sure Paramount Plus made that deal with Epix to have like a big library of movies. Because Apple TV Plus has almost nothing. Like they made a deal for the Peanuts stuff, which was controversial. I think they have the original Fraggle Rock because they have the new one, but they have almost nothing old. But they have a bunch of good new stuff. But I completely understand why people are not like, I need to get that. But if you were to get it, either because you got a free year of Apple TV Plus, which you get if you buy anything Apple right now, I think they're still doing that deal. Or if you decide, hey, I'll get it for a month just to check out some stuff, because there is several things you can check out there. Central Park is great. It is a super funny, creative show that is an animated show. It's also a musical. Every episode has completely original songs. They have really the main songwriters wrote like one of the Frozen shorts, not the Lopez's who did the movies and did the WandaVision songs, but these other people who did the songs for one of the shorts, and they do some really cool songs. But then also they have people write one-off songs all the time, and Fiona Apple wrote one, and I believe Amy Mann did one, and they're like
anyone else that Paul Thomas Anderson is a huge fan of.
Yeah, only Paul Thomas Anderson people. But yeah, they're
only anyone who's ever played at the Largo.
Yes, anyone who's been at the Largo, you got a song. Sarah Silverman, she is. No, but it's they're great. Like you're like, I could see these in a Broadway show, but like really fun. It's a comedy, so they're comedic songs, and the cast is great. It's Josh Gad produces it. He's also one of the stars, but he basically hired everyone from Frozen, and he's had some of his Book of Mormon castmates on, but then also Hamilton. So a bunch of people from Hamilton are on it, including Daveed Diggs. Am I saying his name right?
Daveed Diggs, who's on Snowpiercer, and they did not promote that show with him singing "It Must Be Ice," so it's already, I don't know why that show's even on the air.
Exactly. But got it. I really wish they'd done that now. But Central Park also has speaking earlier of WandaVision, Catherine Hahn has a central role.
That's right. Yeah, she is on that, isn't she?
The main couple in the show is her and Leslie Odom Jr. from Hamilton.
You mean from Person of Interest?
From Person of Interest. And it's great. They're great. You can hear, if you liked hearing Catherine Hahn sing Agatha all along, which she did sing, you can hear her sing more stuff. It's the Bob's Burgers producers, and it has that look. That happens. With animation, Matt Groening, all his shows have that his look, the Simpsons character look. So Central Park has the Bob's Burgers character look. So you'll be familiar with that, and I really like it. The first season was great. It made me very happy during COVID, and when we needed happiness in this world, we still do. And season 2 is coming this summer, and they just renewed it for season 3. And there you go.
So what everyone should do is this summer get one of them free weeks or something of Apple Plus, because let's face it, the reason you're going to do it is to watch Ted Lasso, which is great. While you've got Ted Lasso on there, you can watch the first and second season, because you say it drops this summer, of Central Park.
Mm-hmm. Yep, June 25th. That's when.
There you go. So there, everyone, set your clocks.
Set your clocks.
Set your clocks for June 25th. Okay. Let's see here. So last week I was a little torn. I recommended The Edge, a movie I really like, but I got all caught up in the weeds about, like, it's only got 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, this week I'm going even lower. For a movie I'm surprised wasn't one of my first movies that I recommend on Good Thing to Enjoy, and it's a movie that I don't find... Now, it is a cult movie. Mm-hmm. It is, over the years, has become a cult movie. But I haven't really ever found another big fan of this movie, Eric, in all my years, except for myself.
Like I've seen on Twitter once or twice. I thought I found.
I'm just saying, for a movie with a cult following, I still feel like it should have
you're a substantial part of the
more than just me. Yeah, it's like if I'm 50% of this cult following, I would believe it, because
I say you're like 25%.
It's very much like there are dozens of us, like Tobias. Okay, it is so. We can also just throw it out there that Eric and I recommend wholeheartedly always, and so we don't have to make it an actual entry, Dredd, which is the good Judge Dredd movie, as opposed to the ones from the 90s starring Sylvester Stallone. Now, mm-hmm. Judge Dredd is from a there's a British science fiction magazine called 2000 AD, and that's where Judge Dredd comes from. It was stories from this magazine. It wasn't like at first it wasn't an actual running comic. You would find Judge Dredd stories in this sort of, what would you call it? It was sort of an anthology magazine of sci-fi comics. And one of the stories in it, now I'm getting ahead of myself, one of the stories in it was about a killer robot, and the movie I'm recommending this week is called Hardware. It's from 1990. It was directed by Richard Stanley, who himself has a weird, interesting career, because this was his first movie after he directed some music videos and a documentary, and then he directed another movie that was well received called what was it? Dust Devil, I believe. And then he was most known for being the director who left The Island of Dr. Moreau, which was the disastrous film from 1996 starring David Thewlis, Marlon Brando, and Val Kilmer. Anyway, Richard Stanley continued to write stuff, but not really direct stuff until very recently he did The Color Out of Space. So he came back after like decades of not directing anything in 2018 and did The Color Out of Space starring Nicolas Cage. So Hardware is a movie that it's just... I love it. It's not a great movie. I love it so much. It's got an amazing Public Image Limited song that's become one of my favorite songs of all time. And I love the look of it, the atmosphere, and it is a grandfathered in 2000 AD Judge Dredd verse movie. Because, as I'll tell you, the movie got sued because the screenwriter of Hardware literally lifted the story from a 2000 AD comic. The story came from the story was called Shock with an exclamation point, and it came from a 2000 AD comic. And the Fleetway Comics actually won the lawsuit against this movie because I don't know where Richard Stanley supposedly wrote it, but I don't know if he was the one who actually took it from the story or not. Either way, it's a Judge Dredd movie as far as I'm concerned. It stars Dylan McDermott. It has a very small cast.
The first Judge Dredd movie, you might say.
Technically, yeah, it was before the Stallone one. So it's got Dylan McDermott in it, Stacey Travis, William Hootkins, the Hoot, from the Star Wars, Indiana Jones and Batman universe, William Hootkins. And then it's got John Lynch. It's got Iggy Pop as like a voice on the radio. And that's kind of it, because it's a very small story. Now, just imagine the Judge Dredd universe, and you've got a soldier coming home who has to get his girlfriend a present. And she is sort of like a reclusive, shut-in industrial artist using like welding tools and metal to make like her artwork. But she doesn't leave her apartment. That's why I was talking about the quarantineness of this movie earlier. And he finds some scavenger out in the Badlands, finds a bunch of robot parts, and he's like, oh, my girlfriend will love these, and he brings them back to her, and little do they know that it is a disassembled, like, extermination robot that was part of a scrapped government plan for population control, and it sort of reassembles itself inside the apartment and stalks everyone. And so it's a very close quarters movie because a lot of it takes place inside of this dystopian future apartment. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I've liked it ever since I saw it. I thought it worked really well. I think it's got a really cool, creepy tone to it and claustrophobia and a sense of urgency and danger. And it interests me, Eric. It interests me. So that's my recommendation. And unfortunately, it is not streaming anywhere.
And it's not even in print on Blu-ray or DVD, I think. Though
I have it on Blu-ray, but it's out of print, yeah.
You can get it for $31 on Amazon. But is it in English?
I don't know.
Maybe not. It might be region 2. So you might not be able to legally find this movie currently. But if you really care about Matt, you'll find a way.
Here's the thing. I'm recommending it. As soon as I find out it's streaming anywhere, I will let you know on this podcast.
Sure.
But please don't go out of your way. But if it's on cable one day, I don't know. Try to tape it.
We'll have a hardware update throughout the podcast.
Constant hardware updates every week here on We Enjoy. So that's my good thing to enjoy. I even reviewed that movie for my high school newspaper, Zeitgeist.
Nice. Amazing. And the only time I've seen that movie, Matt showed it to me on VHS.
Yeah, that's how long ago. All right. Maybe they can just buy it on VHS.
Sure.
For like $500. Eric, I'm so mad about what we have to talk about right now.
Well, first of all, make sure people are prepped for next week with the thrilling conclusion of our Robo Journey.
Oh, should it be our main event though? Oh my god. Okay, all right, go for it. Say what. Tell them what to watch and where. Maybe.
Both of which you should just go to YouTube. 1988 RoboCop the Animated Series, Episode 1 Crime Wave, you'll find on YouTube. And 1998's RoboCop Alpha Commando, Episode 1 Justice Reborn, Part 1. We're not even going to commit to watching more than Part 1, Matt. I think we're good.
No, I didn't even want to watch half of the stuff we watched this week.
The other thing I thought it'd be fun to throw in for next week was the WCW segment, which oddly is not available. I mean, maybe it's somewhere, but I couldn't easily find it just on its own. I can find a lot.
No, I know. I actually watched, before I ditched WWE Network this past week, I watched a majority of Capital Combat from 1990 just to see where RoboCop showed up. But also, I like watching old WCW, so I was just watching the card too. And a lot of tag team matches in that. It was really fun. You can watch Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express. You can watch Doom take the tag team titles from the Steiner brothers. It's really good. Anyway, the main event is Ric Flair versus Lex Luger inside a cage. But halfway through the card is where the funny thing is, it's called Capital Combat: The Return of RoboCop. So I could talk about it now, but if you want us to also watch it, we'll talk about it next week.
I mean, I was going to say, if we can talk a little bit about next week.
We'll talk about it next week.
If people want to look up, like I said, it's hard to just find just the footage. It's mostly like videos where they talk about the footage or kind of show it within the context of a conversation about it.
Okay. Oh my God, Eric. Who's going to believe a Dogtown boy?
Do you think that was a reference to the skaters? I assume it is. I don't know.
No, the Dogtown. Well, you mean like actual? Yeah. See, that's the thing. If anyone out there who's listening is actually from Detroit and can tell me if Dogtown is sort of a neighborhood in Detroit or if it's a skater reference of some sort, because I don't know. Is Cadillac Heights an actual neighborhood in Detroit that they brought up in RoboCop 3 and also referenced again in one of these shows? So I think the second show, I told you they both blur together in my fucking head, like both of these shows. I think the second one, the old lab tech says she used to live in Cadillac Heights when it was a war zone, which makes you wonder. Okay, so both of these shows are Canadian. This was a little bit of the pain that I felt when I watched the first couple episodes of Crow Stairway to Heaven, which was also a Canadian show, where it's just these Canadian TV shows bought the rights to certain things. I think they gave Canada's Skyvision Entertainment gave Orion Pictures $500,000 for licensing rights to just make a TV show. Yeah. And what we go through with the 1994 show and then the 2001 RoboCop Prime Directives, Prime Directives was literally them making a show so they wouldn't keep the rights. Exactly.
Yeah. Which is always the best reason to make.
Always the best reason to make a movie. Just ask all of Fantastic Four. And okay, so first up, the stark differences between the two shows are One is more aimed towards kids and doesn't have killing, and the second one does. The second one has more. They're both utterly ridiculous, but the second one actually has a little more of the violence that you would expect from RoboCop. Not the gore, not the over the top satirical gore that Verhoeven introduced. Satirical gore. That's if you were saying it like Terrible Lie, like the Nine Inch Nails song. Okay. Both of them start with a news broadcast, too. So they're trying to have it all with the funny take on the satirical news of the time, like trying to, like, this is the ridiculous time we're living in. And it's just weirder when it's a kid's show.
Yeah.
Like the first one.
And again, the 94, so this show was coming out right after RoboCop 3 had opened and bombed, which was also trying to pivot into, like, RoboCop's for kids. And they were still on that with this, but even more dramatically.
And this one, I'm telling you. Oh, man. Okay, so it opens with, here's the news report.
But here's another thing I want to say behind the scenes, which is just that, bizarrely, because you wouldn't know watching it, but the pilot to this 94 show is written by Ed Neumeyer and Michael Miner, who wrote the original movie.
So this was
they returned to write this pilot.
But from what I understand, this was going to be their RoboCop 2 script.
I think it was partially.
Obviously because they had to tailor it for kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But they were writing something for RoboCop 2 that they sort of had to bow out of because of the writer's strike. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Called Corporate Wars. And so that's a lot of this feels like that. I don't know what exactly they took from their original idea for RoboCop 2, but apparently some of that was in this. Mm-hmm. And the news report starts with a serial killer known as the Dogtown Ripper. And homeless people are going missing. Now, that's a plot that's used in a lot of different movies, but to have it actually on a news report, every police show I've ever seen, or every thriller or crime thriller, the whole reason people kill prostitutes and homeless people is because no one cares about them. But not this news team, Eric. This news team constantly reports on missing homeless people. Like, anyone would notice. Like, later in the episode, the Lewis character, what's her name, Madigan?
Yes.
Was like, there was a homeless guy who went missing, and she's like, where's fucking Hot Beans Pete? I don't know what his name is. Like, where's Trash Can Joe? He's gone. He's never gone. And he's a homeless person. Like,
and by the way, even though both these shows exist in, basically kind of their own continuity or very loosely connected to the films, apparently, and this isn't 100% confirmed that I could find, but it sounds like they might have only had the rights to Alex Murphy, RoboCop. Like, they couldn't have used other. I even read that they wanted to use Ed 209 in the second show, and they couldn't. Like, it was pretty specific.
But then they had to specifically pay to use the Clarence Boddicker footage.
Yes.
So while you don't get Lewis and you don't get what was the sergeant's name? Reed. You don't get Reed. You don't get Lewis. You get like
the old man.
But like also in the next TV show too, you get the prototypes of them. You get their facsimiles, their shadows of them, like the idea of them in different characters. But it was weird because I didn't know what to expect going into this, so I didn't know if this was a RoboCop origin story. But we're 5 years into RoboCop now. So
yeah,
if you wanted to, you could pretend it came after the third movie. But there's really nothing at all, aside from the fact that the first movie happened and this is the way he died at the hand of Clarence. Which is just so weird considering how non-violent. I mean,
you already said how funny it was to see that footage in RoboCop 3, and now they used it again, and it's even more. It just keeps getting more and more removed from its source. But they keep seeing it, Like,
the first thing you see is a guy who looks like a silly Jimmy Durante puppet who's supposed to have been scarred with acid, but he looks like a silly, like,
face.
Yeah, he looks like a silly alien, and then RoboCop like Nordbergs him out of the building in a wheelchair in almost like a comedic slapstick.
Yeah, RoboCop could just shoot him, but doesn't.
He does something that could have also easily killed him. So either way, so I can't remember the name of this killer, but he comes back at the end of the episode. But it's once again, Eric, I'm going to nitpick about the consistency of what can hurt RoboCop and what can't.
Sure,
because no movie except maybe the first movie has been able to figure that out, because He gets blown up twice in his car thanks to this, what'd you call him? Fun face?
Pud face.
Pud face. And he steps out of his car without a scratch on him. Later on, one shot from a magic gun takes him down for and out of the episode for like a good 20 minutes. Again,
Right.
Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, there's nothing interesting about RoboCop past a certain point. Unless you do something drastically different with him, the second movie focused so much on the corporate idiots and the criminals, and this one does too. It's like you realize that your central character is so uninteresting and also very ineffective. Like both of these shows, RoboCop is not successful at what he does.
I mean, I guess I do disagree with your, like, you can't make it work as a franchise, because you can do it, like, a comic book that it was a lot of people felt was an influence anyway, and you've already mentioned today, which is RoboCop could be like Judge Dredd, which is just like, this is the scenario of this stoic character, and you put him into interesting stories around him. And it's not really like, I'm so into the nuances of RoboCop.
Oh, if RoboCop in any movie past number 1 was like a fraction of cool as Judge Dredd is,
Right.
at his Judge Dreddiness, then you can make a series. But he is phenomenally inept. Like he busts whatever the opening danger is. He manages to win. He doesn't even do. Actually, in the second show, I told you it's all a swirl of awfulness in my head. The second show, he still beefs it in the first one. Like he fails in his first, to stop Bone Machine and like the whole situation at the beginning, and gets taken down right away. The second show, he's always getting. I'm just saying.
First, I was going to say, not to get ahead of ourselves, but we can leap around here. I will say, I guess I'm going to keep having these like light defenses of the second one. I guess like the second one to me at least was being like, hey, he's old now. Like, even though I feel like they should have made him even more than 10 years, but it's like they make a point like he's not fixed. Like his helmet's like cracked and they're not fixing it. And he mentions being kind of old tech. So it feels like it's a little more baked in.
It is. Well, here's how they made
RoboCop
RoboCop interesting in the second show, Prime Directives. We didn't watch all 4 of them, so obviously the story continues forward. But in the 90 minutes we watched, Eric, the way they made him interesting was by flashing back to when he was Murphy. That's the way they did it. It wasn't RoboCop now. We literally watched more story of him with his old partner, Cable, and like. And what we were supposed to assume, I guess, is what happened right before he got transferred to the precinct in the first movie. Like, what led up to it was his partner actually killing someone in cold blood. And then that guy was supposed to also still be a hero throughout that rest of that episode somehow. I don't know what we were supposed to think of him. Anyway, back to the sillier one, which is homeless people are being stolen off the street so that this eccentric, crazy scientist who's working with OCP can make neurobrain, and he's using human brains to create an AI, which is also the plot of the second show.
That is the fair. That floored me when that came up. I mean, it's not as integral on the second show, but it still was incredibly funny to me when it was like, oh my god, no, not this again.
So, and then skipping to the end of this first series, double pilot episode, which is that the secretary of the OCP person becomes this sort of holographic ghost AI that controls the city. She is now Neurobrain.
Played by Andrea Roth, who's like the biggest star of the future in this. Known for Rescue Me and Cloak and Dagger and 13 Reasons Why and a million things. And
who else was in this? No one else, really. Richard Eden played RoboCop, and we already sort of mentioned him. No, he is not the one from The Hitcher. Okay,
the Hitchhiker is the second one. Richard Eden, I thought, had done like soap stuff. I think he was on Santa Barbara in the 80s, but he stopped working for whatever reason a few years after this. The only other person I knew in this was it Chad? Was he like the prominent, like the Miguel Ferrer-esque OCP guy?
Chip.
Chip. That's John Rubinstein, who my mom has known forever, and he was a Wolfman and Hart guy on several episodes of Angel. And yeah, like he's done a lot. He's, a character actor. He's been in a lot of things, but I mostly know him because my mom has said the name John Rubinstein and it's stuck in my head. And he was Chip.
Cliff DeYoung, who plays Dr. Crazy Malardo, is actually also recognizable. He's probably been in a lot of things, I think, film and TV wise.
And again, and because of course there's also this show is instantly recognizable, has a Canadian shot sci-fi show, but also, in the past 25 years, or actually 30 years, I should say, since they started making this, it's like we're so used to shows being shot in Canada, and also a lot of these actors get, they work over and over and over again. So even if you can't place them, you're kind of like, I know that guy.
Oh yeah, it's like in the wake of BSG, everyone's like, oh, every single show shot in Vancouver has a Cylon on it.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay, so that's like the main plot. 5 years into RoboCop, he doesn't kill anyone. The OCP still, like, they're scumbags, or at least the Chip guy certainly is, but he is also teaming up. So they take this from the first movie of, like, the OCP guy teaming up with some other sort of street crime element. Yeah. So not only is Chip teaming up with the Dogtown boys to capture homeless people and inject them, which he does himself, by the way. Like, he's boots on the ground guy, like, getting his hands dirty. Like, he could just, like, delegate to the Streets of Rage guys, but he doesn't. He's out there, and that's why he gets spotted by Gadget, Eric, And
one of two precocious kids in this, because we also get Jimmy Murphy has a kid who says, eat my short scuzz bag.
Which I have crocheted on a pillow in my rec room. Right. I think, it was to appeal to kids, but I did like the fact that, things shouldn't be okay after your police officer dad gets killed in the line of duty so brutally, but also, like, he ran away because his mom was yelling about his grades. Yeah. Like, I don't know. That's a bit of an overreaction, Jimmy Murphy. And he winds up almost with the Dogtown boys, who reminded me of the like Shredder's thief outfit going on in Ninja Turtles. But he's also everything blends together. This is the one that has the Rainbow Playroom, like, foster care home or whatever it is that the not Reed police sergeant keeps chasing Gadget around, wanting to give her a spanking, first of all, which is not okay. No. Especially since he's the one who wants to adopt her. But, like, Chip has something going on, and I don't remember the woman's name, who runs the orphan shelter. But then if the orphan shelter kids aren't good, she sends them to be part of the Dogtown boys who work for Chip. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. It's all
too complex for you.
Yeah, this is I need something a little less cerebral, like Tenet, so that I could wrap my small mind around it. So yeah, and that's the whole thing. That's where one of my favorite lines. I don't know why I laughed out loud. Same reason you laugh thinking of me throwing away a sandwich in a linen bin, which is when Chip and this woman are, like, talking about, like, the Dogtown boys, and, like, what if they say something, and Chip's like, who's gonna believe a Dogtown boy?
That was good. I laughed at the guy on rollerblades flying at RoboCop.
Go to school. Go back to school.
Go to school, punk. That's right. It's funny. I wondered if no one would die in the show. People do die off screen, like in the elevator and stuff. And I guess Andrea Roth is killed to become Neurobrain.
Yeah, but also, everyone who was, like, all the homeless people. Yeah. Like Stinky Stu and Ratface Brad. Yeah, like all the homeless people who are so sorely missed immediately after they vanish in Old Detroit. And then on top of this, okay, so Chip's got that going on. She's got the awful orphanage. He's taking brains, but then Dr. Crazy Malardo is he's doing a bamboozle on OCP. So then he takes over OCP, and what happens is that OCP... the chairman, that's all he's credited as. We don't know his name. And this is not the old man.
It's just the chairman.
Yeah, because he doesn't know RoboCop. It's like you would think if it was a continuation of the movies, it would be like, oh yeah, RoboCop. He actually saved my life once. Like, no, there's none of that. But then they get on board because they're such, self-serving sleazes. They're like, oh, the only way to save us from Dr. Crazy Millardo is to actually fix RoboCop. Because, as we mentioned, RoboCop fell on his ass because of one gunshot. Because he always falls on his ass. That's all he is falling on his ass, RoboCop. He doesn't do shit.
He does have a explosive that comes out of his left leg. That's their big addition. Gun out of the right. Now he's got like a little explodey thing on the left. That's right. I looked it up. I was trying to remember that Rip Torn was the CEO. So they're continuing that motif of like the nameless leader.
The chairman. Isn't it weird in a show that's a little more family oriented and oriented towards kids and maybe toys? Toy line should it have succeeded. That they had that like weird exercise scene that was so meant to look like a sex scene.
Yeah. that was weird, and then a little bit was the like the Marines posing nude, which I get. I mean, like it was a meta joke sort of because it's like the kids are watching that in the show. So it almost seemed like almost like perverse because they know they're making a show really aimed at kids and they're doing a parody of kids watching inappropriate stuff. It was a whole weird thing going on there.
I don't know what the fuck is going on with this show, but what was the...
They also had the line, Hitler was an amateur. I did like that line too.
Oh, well, because that's why he objected to be he's like, how dare you call me Hitler? Hitler was an amateur. Right. See, it's a twist, Eric. It's a twist. He's crazy.
Yes.
So I can't remember the name of that weird Geraldo type show that we keep cutting back to. I thought I wrote it in my notes. But anyway, Gadget, the precocious, scrappy young girl who reminded me a little of... she had a little... what's her name from The Crow?
Sarah from
the Crow vibe. She needed a skateboard, and she needed to not like onions on a hot dog. She could have got one
from the Dogtown.
She could have, or rollerblades for that point.
Because there was, I guess there wasn't a skateboarder, but there might as well have been.
So I think early on in the episode, that host, that Phil Donahue, Sally Jesse Raphael type host, was like, should people over 60 be allowed to vote? And I actually stopped for a little bit. I was like, should they? Because we're in a point now where like the serious discussions should be had if people over 70 should be allowed to be in the Senate or something like that here. Like, I don't know. Fake Geraldo makes a good point, I think. And I don't know. This movie ends with Dr. Millardo being like tortured in an elevator, up, down, because Neurobrain is
early CG, early very fakey TV CG.
Going up and down, and I don't know what the future held for RoboCop and Neurobrain, if she became like a weird partner to him, or a help, or a love interest. I don't know. For RoboCop, this is a world where his wife and child still don't know who he is, and he sort of keeps the weird, creepy stalker tabs on them somehow. But their home life is not okay because the kid was falling in with the Dogtown boys. And we'll see a much different version of Jimmy Murphy in the next show.
Yes.
But yeah, so all in all, I was watching this, and I know I was watching it in a very bad transfer on YouTube, and so it looked extra awful. But even if I clean that up, and I could kind of do that in my mind, I was like, is this what things looked like that we used to watch, Eric? Like if I went back and watched the Flash TV show, would it look fucking like this? This was depressing.
I think it might.
This was depressing.
Even though it did have that like shot in Canada look that is very instantly identifiable, it was funny to me because then I was reading how this show was pretty pricey. It was like $1 million to $1 million point 25 per episode, which I do think in '94 there weren't a ton of shows that cost that much. And I think like Next Gen cost about that much, which yes, like had kind of instantly dated effects, but still I think you could see more production value on the screen. The only thing I'll say is like they clearly spent like one thing they're spending money on all these shows is RoboCop himself. to their credit, he always looks right. Like, they don't skimp on the costume. So it's like, but after, you only have to build that costume once. So I still don't know, like, exactly. I guess there's explosions and stuff. But yeah, it is distinct. If I looked at other shows from 94, I think maybe some would look like this, but I hope they wouldn't all look like that. Cause yeah, that was,
it looks so bad.
It looked really bad. Yeah.
Okay. The second one doesn't.
Only other things I want to say about the first one.
Yeah, go for it.
Just 2 lines of dialogue, which is simply that they redo seeing his wife say, "I really have to tell you something. I love you." So they like redo that moment, and when he's flashing back
with the new actress, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think it seemed like a Paul Verhoeven in joke, especially given this would have been shortly after that they have someone very pointedly say to help your Total Recall. And I felt
that's
like
right. I don't think I put. Now that you reminded me of that, I don't think I wrote that in my notes because I was just at that point I was like, nothing matters. Not even like in jokes. I was like, I just want this to be over. Prime Directives. Specifically, Prime Directives is a more interesting delivery model because it was kind of 4 movies. Yeah. And this is just the first of the 4 movies. And
which obviously, I'm sure if it had been successful, they wanted it to be a weekly series. But this is what we got.
Opens again. So we're in a little more darker, mature territory. Still not good at all. But this is a little more lethal than what we just left behind.
And I did think I had a little bit more legit laughs from the news stuff. Like, I thought they weren't replicating like the best of it. But there were a couple times where I thought, okay, especially with the on-screen, how everything is an ad, and how like they'll be like when like the bomber blows himself up, there's like a thing about like how to build a bomb, like it's like everything an ad. I thought
you mean Napalm Joe?
Yeah, there was some funny ideas with the ads at this time, or with the newscast. I thought it was the first time in a while that I actually was laughing purposely at some of the things they did in those.
I'll tell you what I loved about the newscast that opened this one. The co-anchors PJ Flinders and Ashley St. John Smythe, which are amazing names, and I feel like Mike Shore should be made known. I think someone should tell Mike Shore that PJ Flinders is a name because he really got into bizarre names on Parks and Rec, with like Perd Hapley and stuff like that. It was like a calling card for him almost, and the writers where they just the Pawnee residents would always have like really interestingly silly names, and that's what I thought of with PJ Flinders. Ashley St. John Smythe, I always remember St. John Smythe as being James Bond's alias at the beginning of View to a Kill. Yep. When he's trying to infiltrate Max Zorin's equestrian party.
That is what I also thought.
And where Christopher Walken says the line, "I'm happiest in the saddle."
In the walkiest way possible.
Okay, now RoboCop is 10 years old, and as you mentioned, you thought he should be a little bit older. But yeah, you were mentioning how he's sort of old news at this point, to the point where there's no upkeep going on, except for that old woman who used to live in Cadillac Heights.
Right. I did think it was funny. I was reading behind the scenes that when they do at the beginning the RoboCop's greatest moments, they use footage from the 94 series. Because again, like Matt mentioned, this show was made to retain like the people in Canada who had the TV rights were like, oh shit, we're going to lose the rights unless we make something else. So they made this. So they use footage from that old show in that montage, I guess. So Richard Eden gets to make an appearance.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I wondered where that sort of like RoboCop Gone Wild VHS montage tape came from.
And again, that show it was a full 22 episode season, so they had plenty to pull from for that.
Okay, there's something very sad. This doesn't happen until later in the episode, where because the only one who cares about him is that old woman tech who's just sort of a RoboCop. But then she leaves him, and he's like alone in the dark, sitting there, like with his eyes open. Like he doesn't go into sort of like weird cyber sleep or robot like debugging mode or something like that. Like he has to sit there in the dark, just thinking all by himself. It's so sad. All I'm saying is, out there, you can be the RoboCop on the prowl, or you could be the sad RoboCop sitting in the dark by yourself, staring at a wall, thinking about a lot about your old partner. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This show, was also labyrinthine in plot, Eric, and complicated. Too complicated for me to comprehend, that's for sure. But we get another smarmy young exec who he's the one pitching the Neurobrain, or as he calls it, Saint, which is just some AI program. I guess AI was still popular for a full 10 years. Everyone was just doing AI this and AI that.
Right.
To the point where it was still a huge plot point in this RoboCop series. But then you've also got young Jimmy Murphy, who's now an OCP exec, and you learn that both of his parents died, so not just his dad, but his mom somewhere along the line also died. Mm-hmm. I told you that's what happens, Eric. That's why Iman should have died when David Bowie died.
It doesn't work that way, but yes, okay.
Okay, so...
I wish you a long and happy life, Iman.
But he was like raised by OCP somehow? Like in an OCP orphanage and like groomed to be an executive and owes his life to them because they were his parents? That's weird. I'm just...
I mean, they both shows do the thing. I mean, actually the first one I think he does even more of like that OCP makes everything. So sure, why not? I guess they have an orphanage too.
If they make everything, Eric, how are they 70 billion over budget? I don't understand this. So OCP is on the precipice of bankruptcy because of their privatized city. But somehow they also have a weird cult that's like within them called the Trust.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
How did the Trust let them get 70 billion over budget? What is the Trust doing?
A bad job.
I'm saying they're the worst Hydra infiltration ever. I don't know what's going on with whatever they do down in the memory vaults, but clearly the company is about to go under and they're not doing anything.
Right.
And so I don't know the names of any of these characters, Eric.
Only Jimmy Murphy and Cable. I remember Cable. Oh, I think I did put down.
There are two Cables because there's the ex-wife Cable.
Yes, she was a villain.
Okay, so ex-wife Cable is trying to bring Jimmy into the Trust, right?
Yes.
Okay, but she's also working with who? Somebody? Oh, she's working with Bone Machine.
Sarah Cable, yes, and she's working with Bone Machine.
Who somehow she promised Bone Machine that he would be the new RoboCop, and he's like an old cop from Cable and Murphy's past. But look at what Bone Machine looks like, Eric. He's going to be the new top cop?
I mean, if they just need his face.
This idiot with his skull face and his giant, like parachute pant gun hands?
I mean, I don't think they're going to keep that when he becomes RoboCop. I don't know.
As we mentioned, the majority of this, aside from the plot with Bone Machine and whatever Saint is doing, I don't even know what the villainy is in this, except for the fact that OCP is behind Bone Machine, or at least she is. Mm-hmm. Most of it focuses on Cable and his interactions with RoboCop, and then RoboCop remembering his past as Murphy with Cable.
And again, because this show, I think both shows, but certainly this show, it's like people don't know that Murphy and RoboCop are the same person, so he's like kind of figuring it out.
So was he actually figuring it out as we went along in this episode?
I felt like he was starting to, at least. I don't know if he... Yeah.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Impression.
I also had a question about RoboCop right at the beginning of this, where it's like OCP has some weird no-killing policy, but Cable's like, what are you supposed to do? You know, once again, making peace and negotiations and de-escalation of violence the enemy, whereas which is something that they kind of did in RoboCop 2. To the point, like the only thing that'll stop criminals is this bazooka. That's the real answer, and that's what RoboCop is supposed to represent. So that's very much present in this show. But then RoboCop shows up, and like OCP, he doesn't follow OCP orders, but then the cops don't like him either. So I don't know who he works for, and it makes more sense now that he's just sitting alone in the dark because he doesn't seem, nobody likes him, and he doesn't work for anyone. So
just Dr. Frost.
Is that her name?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, like So there's a moment where RoboCop walks in and Cable is playing a game of chess with himself, and then we flash back and we learn that he used to play with Murphy,
right?
And he used to beat Murphy with something called the Cable maneuver.
That's like how I'd beat you at Connect 4 with the Goldman maneuver.
The Goldman maneuver. I couldn't tell what the as far as I could tell. So the only thing he describes the Cable maneuver being is man, what is it? Oh, so it's like you have to be prepared to do anything to win. You'll never see it coming. But that's very vague, Eric. That's all vague. Right. Like, there's no actual Cable maneuver. I feel like anytime he wins at anything unintentionally, he's just like, I have the Cable maneuver.
You gotta be ready for the Cable maneuver.
I'm just saying that RoboCop and this guy aren't particularly good at anything. So for them to claim a maneuver is quite a leap.
Oh, and as you mentioned earlier, the star this time, Paige Fletcher plays RoboCop. He was the star of the 80s anthology series The Hitchhiker, which I very recently told Matt existed, is one of my first HBO memories because it had cool opening credits. And Paul Verhoeven directed an episode of that. So this guy had worked with Paul Verhoeven at one point.
Why didn't this show get the Total Recall joke?
Exactly.
Also, I read that the previous star from the other show, Eden, what's his name?
Yeah, Richard Eden.
He was in talks to actually reprise the role. But...
Although they also said we kind of skipped over the fact that they initially did try to get Weller to star in the '94 show, and that would have been crazy.
This is a little spoiler for next week's RoboCop talk about the wrestling. Is that from all reports, Eric? From everything I've read and everything I've listened to, it's Peter Weller as RoboCop.
Yeah, but the weirdest...
I can't spot him. Like, I'm looking at it.
But also, why has no one asked Weller about this at this point? Like, you know,
I don't know. It was good enough for IMDb to give him credit for it.
If you or I ever get to talk to him, we are absolutely asking about this.
Are you RoboCop?
Were you WC? Did you team up with Sting? Was it called Combat...
Capital Combat, because it took place in Washington, D.C.
I've got 10 minutes with you, and we're going to talk about Capital Combat for all 10 minutes.
And just a little bit about Into Darkness, and that's it. Let's see. We could do that, right? I'm tangenting here because I just rewatched the J.J. Abrams verse of Star Trek movies, the three of them, even though the third one wasn't J.J. Abrams. The Kelvin verse.
Produced it.
And we could do the Star Trek movies. Sort of.
Okay.
That's a good, like, man, that's a long one though too.
But that's I was going to say we might want to, though it's not.
We'll break it up with like
break it up by generations. Yeah, we could take breaks. We could do like the 6, then go to something else, and then come back.
The 6, then the 4, then the 3.
And then the 3. Yeah.
All right. And then we just do every episode of the original series, the Next Gen and Voyager. And
we do all 700 to 800 episodes of all these shows. Yes.
Okay, I'm kind of done talking about this. I will say that, so the end of this is, he is a showdown between Cable and RoboCop and Bone Machine, where at that point Cable was framed as Bone Machine, and it was everyone was hunting for him, and that's the thing. Here's the danger of leaving RoboCop sitting alone in the dark. Is that he'll get reprogrammed by some idiot, like just coming in and giving him new orders, which was to kill Cable.
Right.
So he's after Cable.
Then they do the callback to Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me, but we've already seen that he has Directive 4 now is terminate John Cable, so not really. It's just dead.
He's like dead or deader. Yeah, sometimes dead is deader. I think that I laughed when... No, I'm sure I laughed. I don't think I laughed. I'm confident that I laughed... It seemed very extended and drawn out the moment when he was fighting so hard not to shoot. Like he had to turn to shoot or not shoot Cable. What was he trying to do? I can't remember. He was fighting his programming and it was ridiculous is my point.
Because the real Bone Machine came in and so he wanted to not attack Cable anymore and attack the real Bone Machine, but he was still fighting at Directive 4. So he had a big... back and forth with himself.
Yeah, it was dumb as hell. Also, if anyone just spoke like they did on a regular TV show, this would have been 30 minutes shorter. I don't know if you actually looked at some of the scenes or like I think I was just like so like depressedly mesmerized by a lot of this, where the dialogue is so slow, Eric. Like when two characters are talking to each other, especially if we're talking the OCP characters, it is so slow and drawn out. I remember a scene in particular when like Sarah Cable walks into her office and finds the other young exec there, like he was about to send like a weird email saying that everyone stinks or something, and I don't know. It felt I was like, am I watching Fire Walk with Me? What's happening here?
You were absolutely watching Fire Walk with Me. And then I guess we should talk about the Jimmy Murphy of it all a little more. Just like that was their big kind of, a big sort of change to everything is Jimmy Murphy. They're certainly aging him up because he's like, seems like he's like at least in his mid-20s here. But yeah, that he is a young man who is working for OCP, doesn't know RoboCop is his dad, and obviously now you've got this this tension of this is my son, and he's working for evil OCP, and RoboCop has that moment where he walks up to him but doesn't say anything. And
I couldn't even get a handle on what OCP was in this show either, because even in the first show they had a hand in like resurrecting RoboCop at the end to sort of save their asses from Dr. Crazy.
Yeah.
But this one, they're all over the place. There's like a woman who's in charge, but she's just worried about everything going under. And then you've got Sarah Cable having some weird deal with Bone Machine. And then you've got this other guy who's trying to get Saint off the ground. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know what OCP is. Like, because then Jimmy's there like, yeah, OCP isn't bad. They're just a company. And like, hey, I'm going to be the good guy in the company doing good things. But yet they raised him. So is there like a weird branch of OCP that raises idealists and like good people?
Right.
I don't know how it works, because he comes into like basically a den of thieves who are all ready to backstab each other, but he doesn't seem equipped for that because even though he went through OCP. So I don't know.
Yeah,
they don't really have a identity in this. And then they've got the weird trust within them. So I don't know.
And then it's like, is Dr. Frost OCP or not? Because at the end, when they're going to turn Cable into a new RoboCop, they have that guy who was supposed to have worked on Murphy. Is like, it's been a long time since I've done this, but Dr. Frost isn't there. So it's like, there's,
that leads back to like when he's first brought onto the scene in the beginning of the episode. Like, who does he work for? Because no one seems to want him there.
Right.
Like, he's not OCP and he's not a cop anymore. He's like a guy in a room.
It's a very existential crisis he's going through.
Just a guy in a room, Eric. Just a guy in a room without his mask and his old memories.
They had the then I mean it's it still works as a joke, but at that time a highly topical joke of the Chelsea Clinton savings and loan is where the first battle happened.
Oh God, I didn't even notice that.
Napalm Joe and Nitro. Oh, I did. I was like, wait, am I reading Chelsea Clinton's name on the wall? I am.
I was just still thinking about how awesome the name PJ Flinders is, because that's that was the apex of this episode as far as it happened quick, it happened early, and nothing got better than PJ Flinders.
Clearly, the references to the first movie. Well, first of all, they have a scene where OCP executives are pissing, and the guy says, "So the supercomputer is gonna what? Hold my dingus while I piss?" Which is a great line.
That's what I said to Fred Schneider when I was taking a piss next to him.
Right.
And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I just went, "Love Shack," and ran out.
Cable says, "I'd buy that for $1" in one of the flashbacks.
Oh God, he does.
So to know that show was a show that they were watching.
Yeah, and he's a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
He just straight up kills a dude. I mean, the cannibal dude. And he's just like,
I mean, I'm okay with that as far as like, Murphy is not happy about that, and so clearly it's supposed to be, and even seems to like it's like a reason he transfers is like he doesn't like.
Yeah, but it's
getting.
I know so Murphy, who's supposed to be the hero that we root for, that we did in the first movie. Having known him very short amount of time, we still rooted for Murphy. All it took was like, hey, I learned this gun trick from my son. It was enough to endear us to him.
Yeah.
This Murphy does not take a stand against police corruption. He does not turn against his brother, and he's like, this guy is a murderer, I'm going to transfer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm okay with that in this conflicted world, man. I mean, I look, the rest of the show, like, is as I saw, I glanced at the reading up on it. It's like so RoboCable, and
Okay.
they have different approaches, maybe. And it's his old partners, another RoboCop, but they were different people at the beginning.
Are they enemies? Are they partners? What goes?
Maybe that's the thing. You got to keep watching, right?
No, I refuse. I was already so mad about this entire thing.
I genuinely, I will say that while it is bad, like at least Prime Directives, I felt like there was more ideas at work, not just like plot ideas, but like the idea of a past his prime RoboCop. And the idea of like, okay, let's look more Murphy. Like I was like, okay, they're trying a little harder here. They're not doing it well. But and having his son, I was like, okay, having his son work at OCP, I was like, okay, well, there's more interesting kernels of ideas here. But it was not exciting, and it was funny because I do genuinely think that the new stuff was very funny, but especially the on-screen graphics, which I realized all were added later and probably weren't in the script, because it wasn't wasn't Napalm Joe I was talking about. It was that other guy later on the news where they show the guy who was one of the sons of Santa Anna who blew up the Alamo.
Okay, yeah.
And that was very funny just because when he's standing on the steps and first there's the thing about make your own explosives, but then when he yells something before he undoes his vest and we see the explosives and quickly the screen says is like that's Latin for death to all tyrants. So that was funny. But again, this is people in post who are probably funnier than the screenwriters, putting funny.
Just like the guy who wrote "Totally Wasted" in post of the RoboCop 3. All right. Both of these shows were the drizzling shits, Eric.
You're boned, baby. I forgot about that line.
This is awful. This is awful. I resent these shows for existing. But they, like I said, they instilled a very important lesson, which is that you cannot continue RoboCop past the first movie. It just does not work.
I disagree that you can't, but...
I put to you, how many tries do you get?
But that's the thing is that...
How many times do you get to try before you call it? What's time of death here?
But they kept trying, and no one is doing it well. But we're going to have one final week with the 2 animated takes they did.
God, Eric, what are we doing to our listeners? Why? This is so bad. Every week now, we're creating more and more of a case of why we could do the Leprechaun film franchise.
Well, maybe that was the plan all along.
I don't like that plan. I don't agree with it. All right, everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you have made it this far, as a treat, I'll put on a little bit of the Mike Patton TMNT theme for you. If you have been such a trooper as to make it all the way to the end of listening to RoboCop 1994 and RoboCop Prime Directives, are good things to watch. Good things to enjoy this week were Hardware from 1990 and Central Park, which you can watch right now on Apple TV Plus if you want another streaming service in your life. And until next week, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shakma.
Shakma!